And as brutal as that sounds, that's how it plays out for young minds and young hearts. And then we carry that same pattern forward into adulthood based on what our parents' reaction would be. How can you ensure your young athlete not only excels on the field, but also loves every moment of it? Discover proven strategies that will boost their performance and enjoyment because success is more than just about winning. I'm Ian Hawkins, and this is Sport is Life. The purpose of sport, as I see it, is to see your vision become a reality. Find your voice, create strong connections, and learn to trust your body. Did you know that when you are trying to improve your performance in any area of life, there is a pattern playing out very much influenced by your parents or significant carers from your young years? At a really basic level, the psychology of children at a young age is that they see two sides to their parents' reactions to whatever they're doing. One reaction is positive and equals I am loved, and one reaction is anything less than positive, which equals I'm not loved. And as brutal as that sounds, that's how it plays out for young minds and young hearts. And then we carry that same pattern forward into adulthood based on what our parents' reaction would be. I found this out firsthand. My young fella was probably 6 and he didn't want to shake hands after he just played a game of football. And I remember thinking, what have I done as a parent that has resulted in this child not wanting to shake hands? What have I instilled in him about the importance of winning that he couldn't find the sportsmanship to shake hands? Now, they were all concepts that were well beyond him at this age. And to be honest, they were well beyond me as well. So I set about learning all that I could to be able to improve in that area so I could pass on the knowledge to help my son not just be best athlete, but to be the best person, someone who does shake hands. It's all about playing in the right spirit. So the important thing as a parent of an athlete is that we need to remove the pressure. They place enough pressure on themselves without us inadvertently adding more to the pile. And even if your child's like on the sort of higher side of being a young athlete, you can still change the behavior by changing how you show up and removing that pressure. And the relief that comes from that is huge for the child, and the resulting flow through into performance it's incredible. Now, the other thing to remember is if you're looking to learn from this and you're thinking, well, I don't even have children, or I'm not even at that stage, it's looking at it from that you as the athlete. Where are you playing for your parents' love, or whatever area of life you're thinking about, whether it be your work, your art, your sport, just where you're trying to improve, and where might you be still reacting in a way that when you're successful or you feel like you're successful, you're feeling like you're getting love, and that's really great. But then most of the time where you're not performing up to that level, you're feeling that sense of, well, it feels like failure. But really what it is playing out is that sense of not being loved, not being cared for. So how do we change the pattern? It's about trying to elicit a different response from your child by having a different reaction. So the first place to start is acknowledging that you do have some responsibility for helping here. And then having an awareness about when it might show up. Because if you think about it, even if your young athlete is say 20, 21, and when they win, you're excited and you're upbeat, and they'll feed off that. But even if they've won and you're kind of feeling like, oh, they could have done better, they'll read that all through your body language, through your energy, and probably what you say. And instead of having these extremes of reactions, it's more about finding a neutral ground and helping them see that they are loved. So, a really simple way of putting it is, I just love watching you play. That was so good. I love watching you play, no matter the result. And again, that's going to just relieve the tension. It's also the conversations you have before, the conversations you have after. After a game, are you really quick to tell them what they could have done better? Or are you just creating a safe space where if they feel like talking about it, they will? And if they don't feel like talking about it, then they can be quiet. Because we want to jump in and pass on our knowledge. And that just further has them feeling unloved if the game didn't go how they wanted it to be. And sometimes when a young athlete knows within themselves that even though they won, that they didn't perform at a certain level, then they're already feeling a little bit down on themselves from the pressure they put on themselves. So we don't want to pile on top of that. Instead, yeah, if they want to ask questions, give them the space to. And when they ask the questions, you ask permission to give them what sort of response. You just want me to listen? Would you like a direct response? So that different reaction helps them to see that, okay, well, I'm not getting this same pressure from my parents anymore, and I can play with more freedom. It's about changing this pattern that you've had and also that they've had, changing your belief around it, being open to a different way of approaching it, and all helping them to change their belief around it. Because when you can do this and perform with freedom, and if you're the parent of a young athlete, help them to perform with freedom, the results are completely different. There's a consistency like you wouldn't have experienced before for you or for them, depending on which circumstance you're working on. And that comes from changing the pattern and then changing the habit. So when your belief changes, you still to change the habit. So you go through a process of acknowledging it, seeing it. Okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to change now. I'm going to show up in a different way and watch things start to unfold. And you're going to get it wrong at different times because you're human. So that's why it's really powerful to have a journal where you handwrite in and keep yourself to account. Something that I've loved showing young athletes over the years. I think about a young cricketer I worked with this year and his dad, and them coming back to me after a while and just realizing now that they'd created the shift. I'm getting tingles as I talk about it, realizing just how many the young cricketer, how many of his teammates were just feeling so much pressure from their parents, and also the dad realizing just how it happens now that they have that awareness around it and watching other parents not doing it deliberately, but having that pressure. And you can tell when it's happening, when a child is playing and they make a mistake or they do something that's not quite right and their head whips around to see their parents' reaction. And that's the magnitude of it. They're constantly seeking that approval. But when the reaction is just one of, oh, I love watching you play, and they just play, and they can tap into their highest performance. So then this father-son combination not only helped with their relationship and their results, but then they became leaders within their team by knowing what they know and being able to have conversations in a really gentle way to help the other players and parents see what was going on. What a great gift to be able to give not just the team, but all of those people to take that pressure off. With enough pressure on ourselves in other areas of life without adding any more to the pile. So the job for you is firstly, have that awareness. Notice where it's happening. Notice when you're the coach or the parent of an athlete, or you about yourself, where you putting too much pressure on them or you and having them or having you feel like you're playing for love, playing for approval, playing for acceptance, playing to show them that you're enough. But instead, change how you approach it. Journal, handwritten journal, so important. I've got mine just here, and there's something powerful about the written word. Keep track, and then after you've written down what you've written down and seen different results, and you can go back to the journal and acknowledge where you've got to win, acknowledge where you've done it better, and also acknowledge where you could be better. This is a guaranteed way to see an up spike in performance, in results, in consistency, and most important, the joy will return to your athlete because of the love of the game. And removing of the pressure does just that. And of course, if you're looking for some independent advice on what to do, then of course reach out and I'll be able to point you in the right direction. You've taken the time to listen to this whole episode. Now it's time to take action. Commit to one thing you've learned today and make it happen. And to avoid any obstructions, join the Sport is Life movement by clicking on the link in the show notes.